What can we do today, now, here, in this time we have together? What can we look at that's really going to make a difference? Something that you can take into the rest of your life and begin to apply and see some profound results. And if you look at human beings, they are the only species that have the capacity, at least on this planet, to recognize the truth of who they really are. And yet, they are the only species that has the capacity to suffer mentally, psychologically. Why is that? It's this faculty of thought, of mind, this developed mind or intellect that other species don't seem to have, to such an extent at least. Capacity to weigh and discern opposites, to choose one and discard another. All of that is really useful in the world. But actually, towards the end of our awakening, it's going to become the main issue that we're ready to let go of, the main challenge. How do we do that then? Well, for human beings, we've got so used to experiencing our world, our family, our co-workers, even our awakening, ourselves, through the world of thoughts. How do we step away from that world of thoughts? Because we can't experience actual reality of our infinite self and experience what we think reality is at the same time. We have to pick one or the other. And of course, we're here in Satsang because whether we realize it or not, we've picked reality. We want to experience reality. We don't want to continue to experience the world filtered through our thoughts about what is, because that diminishes our joy, our peace. In fact, not only diminishes it, it'll seem to be utterly absent. No joy, no peace, no love, no safety, no self-respect, and all of that. So we're going to do a little experiment that you can follow along with, and hopefully it'll show you a very simple way to move away from the mind. And not because mind is wrong. We need to go into this looking at our mind as if it is just an outdated way of perceiving reality. So you've been wearing these spectacles that have a certain color, and you really want to experience everything looks that color. So we have these yellow spectacles, and everything that you perceive looks yellow. But you really want to see what everything actually looks like now, without those spectacles on. How do we do that? There's a curiosity and intense urge to actually experience reality. There might be some fear as well, as there was for me. As much as I wanted to direct experience of who I really was, I was also terrified of it. So if that's how you're feeling, that's totally normal. Because although it is reality, we're not used to experiencing it, are we? We're used to experiencing what we think is happening, who we think we are. Human beings have come to experience their entire world, what we perceive through our senses, and that becomes so linked with a thought and a name or a label about what it is we're perceiving. So most human beings have learned that when we look at any object at all in the external world, that automatically, unconsciously, a thought label is given to that thing. So we look at our sister, we look at a tree, we look at a thought, we look at anything at all, and the label is automatically stamped onto the experience. So much so that we don't even realize we're doing that. They become one and the same. So I don't know what it is to actually look at a tree without calling it a tree. And do I actually ever then get to experience the tree? Or am I experiencing what I think about the tree? Of course, this may not be such a negative thing. I might have some really nice memories of trees. But if I experience an emotion or a thought or another human being, the label that I stamp on that may be automatically negative, because our mind sifts and sorts through things that it encounters and labels them good and bad, wanted, not wanted. So even if we experience something neutral and open, we might be automatically stamping it with bad. So some vibration arises inside us and mind says, oh, that's fear. I don't like that. I don't want it. Have we ever really experienced that fear without that label? And are we cognizant that we're stamping a label on and giving everything that we experience a name, a thought constructed name, and that name takes precedence over the actual experience if we do that? And shockingly for me, I came to a point where I realized I'd never experienced myself or anyone else or anything else directly. The very moment I became aware that I was filtering reality through my mind, I got this intense, burning desire to experience actual reality. Like I had to know what it was then. What's it like to perceive without thoughts? And that's what I want to do tonight here on this session. So we're just going to take 10 or 15 minutes to really do this. And you can start off in an easier way if you just look at the objects, look at the room that you're sitting in. But I want you to look at them as if you've never seen them before, as if they're brand new to you, as if there's no memories attached to them, as if there is no name. You've forgotten the names of everything. And just taking a moment now to scan the room around you. Some things will have more memories attached than others, but just experiencing it as if you had never seen it before. As if I just brought you this thing and put it down in front of you and you said, what's that? And I said, I don't know. Like you've never experienced it before, brand new, completely fresh. Just taking a moment. This may seem like a really weird thing to do, but for the first time, perhaps, we're experiencing this pure state of not knowing, not already having stamped something with a label. And it may bring up some uncomfortableness. It may bring up some fear. If it does, just don't know what fear is either. Just stepping away from all the mental concepts are still there, the names if we need them, but just for this time. And if you want to kind of step this up, you can look at your own body, but forget the name body and forget your name too. So forget Helen for me. Just, I have no clue what this thing is. It's here, but I don't know what it is at all. And we begin to experience that what we're actually experiencing through our senses are just shapes, always seeing and hearing and feeling as shapes or vibrations. And it is the name we give it that condenses it into a heavier experience. And you can take a moment to perceive yourself without thoughts. What do you know about yourself if you don't name yourself with all the usual labels? So your actual name, put it aside for a minute. We've already set aside the label, the name body. Let's set aside worthy or unworthy, awakened or unawakened. Let's set aside the label of thoughts. So things might be happening in here, but we have no idea what they are. Because without these labels, names, also goes wanted and not wanted, good and bad. Also goes freedom and bondage too. Liberation and bondage are also gone in this. Just imagining going about your whole life, not knowing what anything is before you encounter it, and actually experiencing it in that moment afresh completely? Can you even function like this? Yeah, of course you can. Mind won't agree, but you're doing it right now, aren't you? So don't know who I am, don't know who you are. Forget my name, forget your name. Forget the word Zoom, forget Satsang, forget all of that stuff. And just directly experience this moment. So there's just your senses, what your senses are perceiving, and this moment. There's no need to put a name on anything. And this really, when we begin to allow this to be our habitual way of encountering ourselves and our life, we notice this kind of peace and contentment that deepens into a stillness. Can you live your whole life not knowing what anything is? Can you go to work like this? Can you raise your kids like this? Feeling what it feels like in your body to just not know anything at all. Just separating the names from the actual experience of this moment. Allowing yourself to rest here. So just taking this moment, whenever a thought pops up in your mind, just don't know what that thought is. Meet it with a curiosity. As if I'd just given you something that you'd never tasted or touched before, experienced. Almost like being a very young child, deeply curious about the world. And as you do this, you begin to see that you can experience reality directly. That there is just the senses perceiving, feeding back vibration, information to our senses, to our mind, excuse me. And that mind doesn't have to form a concept about what we're experiencing. We've just come to somehow prefer experiencing our thoughts, and we're just switching over now in Satsang to the direct experience. Again, just taking a moment to experience yourself. You're here right now. We're here together. And we don't have to put any concepts here. What's your experience of yourself when you don't think about yourself? Is there anything that you can experience that you need to label? Or can you move through your whole life like this? Is it really the labeling, the stamping of name and form onto everything that's been running your life anyway? Or is there not some power behind all of this? Do you know anything about yourself like this? And do you need to know anything about yourself like this? Just like this, just completely already here and free, conscious, aware. No thought definitions at all. As if you were experiencing this moment for the first time, experiencing your environment for the first time, experiencing your body for the first time. It's brand new, just being given to you. And although our mind may say this is overly simplistic, it kind of is. Simple things are the most powerful. Who are you without a history? Without a thought constructed future to fear or dread? Is it an avoidance? Or is it a valuing of what is real, which is here and now, right now? When those future moments come anyway, they will be experienced now, right now. Let's just take a few more moments just to perceive our experience, perceive ourselves, without any need to put any names on it, any categories, any good or bad, or all of that stuff. You might begin to notice this stillness, this silence that's already here, that really is who you are. Let's not even call it stillness or silence. Let's not know anything about that either. Something is here. What if you just became a giant question mark? What if you already are this unknown? It's not so scary here, is it? What you think you know is cheap compared to this. There's nothing in the world of thoughts that's worth losing this for. You can't lose it, but you can cover it over by experiencing your thoughts. In any moment, we can choose to forget everything. Doesn't mean thoughts necessarily stop. It just means I don't want to experience reality through them. I want to experience reality. What do you need here, like this? Are you suffering here like this? Does this have to be a momentary experience? Or can it become a habit? Whenever I begin to pick up names again, I can just set them down. Come back to reality directly. Having forgotten so many names that we can't even remember what we've forgotten, and we don't want to.